All right.
Hey, it's Andy and John here from Car Repairs Made Easy. Today we're doing an oil change on a 2008 Ford Escape 4-cylinder. Um, Oil change pretty simple, just a drain plug and a filter. Here's our oil filter here. We'll just unscrew that after we drain the oil. On the back of the pan here, which you may not be able to see, but it's directly where my finger is. There is the drain plug. We've already checked. This one's a 13 millimeter. You want to do this after the car sat for a little while, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and lets all the oil drain into the pan, so you can get as much out as possible. You'll never get it all out, but you want to get as much out as possible when you change it. So we're just going to break this loose. Wow. All right. Whoever did this last tightened it up way too much. Should never be this tight. We're going to break this thing loose here. Wow. And we have our drain bucket here so we can capture all our oil and have it disposed of properly. If you could see it before I pull this out, this has got a little rubber seal. Some of them have O-rings. Make sure you don't lose that. You want to inspect it after you pull the plug out. But we can see it here before the oil comes out. It doesn't look damaged, just coming loose a little bit. You need that so you don't have an oil leak. So we just carefully pull this out to save a mess. And I usually do this, and John yells at me all the time, don't drop the drain bolt in the pan of oil, because it is a mess. You got to fish it out, all the dirty oil. This one I managed to save, keep it on my hand. I didn't want to get yelled at this time. So we're just gonna, it'll take a couple minutes, maybe a minute for this oil to drain out. And then once that's done, we'll put the plug back in, we'll pull the oil filter out and put the new one on. And then this is real quick, simple stuff. All right, I think that looks pretty good because our little stream there is starting to move. So we can put our drain plug back in. Start that off by hand. Get that finger tight. And then we'll just take our ratchet and our socket here. And we'll just tighten it up. Once you get it snug, maybe a 1/16 of a turn, that's it. All by hand. Don't forget to wipe this drip of oil off because you're always going to have it. I don't have a rag here, but I can use my glove, which is going to work just fine. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slide up here. We'll bring our drain pan with us. As you can see in there, that oil's pretty nasty. Here's your oil filter. We're just going to screw that off. If these are put on properly, you should be able, if you have decent strength in your hand, you should be able to take them off with just your bare hands. I've tried with two hands and couldn't get it off. So if somebody's over tightened this, and it doesn't really cause too much damage unless you roll the seal that's on the oil filter. And we'll show you that when we put the new one in. But we have here a band filter wrench. These work really good. It's just a strap, and when you pull on it, it tightens. So we're just going to put this on here. If I go the right way, that'll help. Just turn this, and then start to spin. Just watch yourself because it can make a mess. What we like to do is loosen it up and let it drip off. And then, cause now this filter is still going to be full of oil, so you have to be careful when you take it down, you don't splash it everywhere. While this drains for a second, I'm going to grab a couple rags. And then we'll be right back. Okay, now you can see it stopped draining off of the side of the filter. So we're going to grab a rag here, and we're just going to finish spinning this off. Well, like I said, this is full of oil, and we'll see that as we dump it over. We're just going to drain this out. We're not going to drop this in the bucket either because it's messy. What I'm going to do is, I don't have the box, so we're just going to set this over here on the side on this rag. So I need to wipe my hands off. What we're going to do now is we're going to put the new filter on. You always want, here's the see if you can see that. Here's the little seal right here on the side. You always want to put you can use the dirty oil, it doesn't matter. You just want to put a little bit on there, just enough to make it slippery so when you spin it on, it doesn't grab it and twist it and pinch it or pull it out of place. So now we got that lubed real good. After you pull the old one out, you always want to look up here. This is the seal, the surface where the seal would run. Make sure the old seal's not stuck to that. If you want it with two seals, it'll cause you an oil leak. And we see it happen all the time. So now we're just going to put the filter on, spin that thing on by hand. Once you get it on, you can pretty much just go as tight as you can. Once it gets a little bit snug, you just go about another quarter turn. Doesn't hurt to put two hands on it. That's it. You don't need to use tools to put filters on, because then you'll get them over tightened like the one that was on there.
This is for all you Jiffy Lube guys that use wrenches when you put them on.
So then we just go around and wipe off any oil that might be dripping from the seal. We'll wipe that off back at the drain plug. And that's it. We've got it all drained out. We're going to let this thing off the jack stands, move our oil bucket out of the way. And then we're going to get up top and we're going to fill this thing up. Show you how to check the oil level. And then we can ship this thing back to our customer. So we shall return. Okay, now we're filling this thing up with oil. We've checked. This thing takes 4.5 quarts. We didn't think there was a whole lot of necessity for you to watch us pour 4.5 quarts of oil into this car. So we have our 4.5 quarts of oil in there. I'll let that drain for a second. Got our rag here. Cover this up. Get out of the way. Put our filler cap back on. As you can see, this one says it needs SAE, which is just a standard for oil, 5W20. That's the weight.
That's what we put in.
We just put the cap on. Here's our dipstick here. We're going to push this in first. We're going to start the car, and then we're going to let it run for a minute. Then we'll shut it off, give it a minute or two to drain back into the pan, and then we'll check the oil level. Okay, we've ran the truck for a couple minutes, let it sit for a few minutes to let the oil drain into the pan. We're going to pull our dipstick out. We're not going to worry about what it reads now because the engine's been running. We're just going to wipe it off. Make sure you wipe it clean. What we're looking for is the oil level to be in these hash marks. If you can't see them, it's between these two little holes. Minimum, max, anywhere in there is acceptable. After we've wiped it off, we'll dip it again, and as you can see, it's right there. Don't worry about the streak here. You want where the biggest line of it is, and we're right there by my thumbnail. So we're between the hash marks. That means our oil level's good. We are done, and that is how to do an oil change in 2008 Ford Escape with a 4-cylinder engine. And we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to visit our Facebook page and our website, carrepairsmadeeasy.com.